Hello, hello. What's going on? This evening, I'm talking to musical group Juton. Hey, Miss Jackie, how are you? I hope all is well. Jamie,
Yo,
how are you?
can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm blessed. I cannot complain.
Yeah, me too, man. That's good to hear.
Good to see you.
Yeah, you
Are
too.
are, are your bandmates joining us?
No, it's just me tonight.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, yeah, we couldn't get
So,
everybody in the same place.
how have you been since the pandemic? How have you been taking care of yourself?
I mean, that was rough for any artist, any musician. We lost a lot of work. But God has blessed us. We've been able to sustain. Our company's been able to stay afloat, and we've been able to do a lot of studio work. Um, do a lot of. We did a lot of writing
Hmm.
during that time.
Yeah,
There was a lot of time to like really just kind of get back into crafting music again. So instead of ripping and running, trying to do shows, touring, that whole thing can kind of consume a lot of time. So the pandemic did give us that opportunity to step back a little bit, get into some more writing, get creative, and we're excited about the new stuff that we got, coming
nice.
out.
Very nice. We kind of just jumped into it, so tell everybody who you are.
So my name is Jamie Evans. Um, this is my cousin that I'm on a live stream with right now. We call each other cousins because we got the same last name.
Yeah.
But no, I'm one of the members of the band Jatron. Also one of the owners and founders of Climax Entertainment in Camden, New Jersey. And we're a small boutique label with a bunch of up and coming artists and a couple legends under our belt as well.
Mm,
But our band has kind of been like, my life's work as far as music goes. We started out about 20 years ago. We decided to, quit our jobs and start start this company. We started selling our CDs just in the malls, meeting people and stopping people and getting them to listen and buying our CDs. And we would sell those. That was all we did 24/7 after we quit our jobs and we started this company. Built a website, got an office. Now we have a studio. And we just been on this music journey ever since. I grew up in music actually, my father was a musician. My father was a musical director for like Chubby Checker, Dee Dee Sharp, the Dovells. He worked with so many people. He worked with Hush Productions, um, uh, what's McFadden and Whitehead were two of the like classic people that he worked with, which is crazy, which is like kind of a full circle situation for me because now I work as a musical director for Freddie Jackson, and Freddie Jackson was under Hush Productions at the time. My dad used to be in the building with Freddie and John Whitehead and Dean McFadden, and they would be writing together, producing things like that. So I kind of grew up just always in a musical household.
and that's musical history right there. That's some thick stuff.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's crazy when I think about it. I like sometimes I forget and I have to like reflect because I it's been so normal for me and my brother Jake, who's also another member of the group. We grew up in it, so it was like from the time we can remember, like we're in green rooms with the Temptations, with the OJs, with like I said, Chubby Checker, Dee Dee Sharp, um, just like legendary artists that we used to just be hanging out in their green room, eating all their food up and stuff like that, being backstage, as little
Yeah.
kids. It was a crazy time.
And to me, I guess that's part of what, in my opinion, what makes your music sound the way that it does is because it comes from a pure place. Like you were around to absorb music at its purest form when music was different in the world. So that's in you now, and that's what you deliver because that's what I hear.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, that's something that is kind of like a gift and a curse we feel a lot of times because the number one question we get from people, especially like after they've even been to a show and experienced it, they're like, "How? What is your music?" Like they're like, "What genre is this?" You know what I mean? Because it's like it's such a blending of
Hmm.
all of our influences growing up. Like even my dad was even like he was an eclectic guy. Like he grew up, he studied classical jazz as a basis first, but then he like fell in love with funk and Larry Graham and Latin funk and Latin jazz and so our house was always filled with like Brazilian jazz music, reggae. One of my favorite songs as a baby, my dad would always tell me the story that my favorite song was um, Try Jah Love by Third World, which is like, a
Yeah,
huge reggae artist. Um, so all those influences, if you listen to our music now, it's all in there. It's
yeah.
all like there's little elements of reggae, there's little elements of Latin, there's little elements of African, there's little elements of rock, of R&B, of gospel. It's kind of like and it's a beautiful thing for us because we love music in that way. We studied music. All three of us, me, Jake, and Moon, we all studied music. We all studied music theory. We all, went to college for that. And so we love music. We love the history of music. We love paying homage to all of those genres when we create. But it does make it difficult, I think, for the business to kind of be like, all right, well, what lane do we put you in? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because they're always looking for a lane to put you in.
So what do you normally get? What do the record executives say? Where do they try to put you?
I mean, you know, that's always the struggle. That's like I'm being honest. Like number one question on the number one argument has always been like, where do we put you? So I mean, and it ends up being like song by song or album by album. Because some albums they'll put as an R&B album. Some albums they'll put as I remember when we put out by the River that was on AAA radio. That was like indie AAA, and then like we got a song coming out called Release. It's coming out April 7th on Good Friday next week, next a week from today, and
Mhm.
that one is under Christian Alternative. Um,
Mm.
so it's like there's all these different meshings of musical stylings that come through all of us, and even like a lot of our musicians, our band in general, and we create with those guys um, as if they're a part of us. Like they are just not the band as well. So and a lot of these guys come from a plethora of backgrounds. So it's so mixed up, and there's so many different influences that it's hard for people to just pinpoint it. So it's been kind of like a genre bending thing that it's tough to describe. But like I said, song by song, people will release. Like our last song that we put out was called "Darling," and that was considered hip hop, reggae, R&B. You know what I mean? So it's like you got that, and you got indie gospel folk rock song by the river that was considered for that for AAA radio. And that was actually 104.5 was playing that song. So you got
Wow.
like
Okay.
certain songs that like um you know um the R&B adult contemporary R&B stations will play. You got certain songs that like the alternative stations will play, and then you got certain songs that like indie stations will play. So we try not to obsess over that part of it. For
Hmm.
me, it's like that doesn't matter. We just
So how do you arrange your set list? Like how do you know what to play when you go wherever?
I think we kind of organize it based off of like, all right, what do we think will work? What do we think will connect with this crowd? So
Mm-hmm.
if we're playing like, and that's another beautiful thing that's like gift and a curse kind of vibe as well. Is like we can play in any room, we
Mm-hmm.
can play in front of any crowd and be able to connect. You know what I mean? There's some element of our music that's gonna connect with this audience. Like we've done the most hippie, like white rock festivals, flower festivals,
Mm-hmm.
and had a great response. And we've also like we've opened up for Freddie. You know what I mean?
Mm.
In front of his audience. We've done straight up R&B shows, straight up hip hop shows. We've done tour. We did the BET Black College tour. You know what I mean? So it's like we've been able to get in any room and find a way to connect.
Yeah.
So that's been
Yeah.
a
Yeah. Who were some of your influences growing up? Like, who did you gravitate toward the most? Like, who really, really, really like wowed you?
so for me growing up at an early age, because my early influences musically, number one was my father. You know, he
Mm-hmm.
was, and to this day, like he passed away in 2012, but to this day, even me like traveling, touring, being around some of the greatest musicians in the world, I have still not found someone that I was like, man, that dude is better than my dad. You know what I mean? Like he
Yeah.
was he was a bass player and a vocalist and a producer, but just like his ability on the bass was next level. So for me, growing up with that in my home all the time and his work ethic and his knowledge, like my dad was a music theory encyclopedia, and he also was like a jazz head. He knew he could play multiple instruments. So for me, it
Mm-hmm.
was like that was always what I wanted to do. So I started out playing trumpet, and he was the one that kind of like he saw that I had a knack for music, so he started pushing me to listen to like Miles Davis, to listen to Charlie Parker, to listen to like um, Coltrane, to listen to like the old heads,
Mm-hmm.
Dizzy Gillespie, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I fell in love with all of that, the old Quincy Jones stuff from back then,
Mm-hmm.
and I fell in love with all of that stuff and really um, started first falling in love with like jazz players and their ability to hear a jazz standard in a new way. Um, but but then later on in life, I started really getting into R&B. I think like when I was a teenager, R&B became like my my main thing, and then I kind of really started falling in love with harmony. And I remember showing my dad the music I was listening to, which like Shy, um, Jodeci, 112, Boyz II Men, things like that. And he would always be like, "This is dope, but let me show you this." And then he would take me to the Temptations. He would take me
Mm-hmm.
to Enchantment, like which is
Yeah.
Enchantment. Enchantment became like a group that is one of those like un, underrated groups from the
Yes.
70s that I feel like a lot of people don't know about, but we ended up covering a couple of their songs. We would do them on stage,
Mm-hmm.
and we ended up doing a show with them in Trenton, and it was amazing. We've done a few shows with them now, but like, yeah, um, Enchantment. He showed us, the Dells. He showed us all of the like Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, all the Philly International stuff. Um, so he kind of like gave us the history, the old doo-wop stuff. Then he would take us back to remember these songs that we did with when you would come with me on tour with the Dovels, and the Dovels would do like these medleys of like Benny King and Jackie Wilson
Mm-hmm.
and um, like old 50s, 60s music. So then we started covering that stuff, and we would learn that stuff, and we would come up with our own arrangements and do like a bunch of we would do acapella shows. So um, as far as influences, I think that all of that kind of like ingrained itself on us early, and then you kind of see that kind of in our music now as well.
Describe to me the first time that you performed as Juton.
first time, okay. So it's funny because the first time we performed was at a talent show, of course. You know, back in those days. I think this was probably in the 1999. You know,
Okay.
um, that's where you when you were young, we were teenagers.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? We were teenagers, and this is the only chance you really had to like do your thing in front of an audience. So I think it was a talent show competition at Philadelphia Community College
Mm.
in Philly, and I remember the song we did was the Shy song. We did an acapella version of If I Ever Fall in Love,
Okay.
and you know, the response was crazy. We ended up coming in second place on that
Okay.
talent show, our first talent show ever. You know, we were young, and I think the winner, you know, we kind of chalked it up. She was like best friends with a couple of the judges, so you know, we gave, you know, she had a little you know, edge on us in that way. So we were like, man, they cheated us, but you know, because our response was crazy in the audience, like, you know. But when you're young, girls go crazy for anything. You learn that too along the way. But no, but you know, that was I remember that experience. That was like our first time really seeing the impact of music on the stage and like feeling that energy and that like
Hmm.
how you can connect with the audience, how you can build them up because we decided to do our own arrangement of it. We didn't do it exactly like Shop. So
Right.
we realized like once you throw something a little like piece of something different at the audience, it wakes them up in a way where you know they start paying
It's
attention
not
even more. And
what they expected.
exactly. So we found that out at that show as well, and that kind of sent us on because that was before we even started working with my dad. My dad became like our musical mentor, our vocal coach for the whole group, and like our like pseudo manager at that time.
Hmm.
He was still on the road a lot, so he couldn't really manage us. But when he was home, he was on us. Like he was like we came to him and was like, Dad, can you help us? You know, just hone our stuff. And when I tell you, he was like, all right, but I'm not gonna play with y'all. And he like we used to call him Sergeant Slaughter because he would put us through boot camp musically, you know,
Yeah.
training our ears. Like the exercises he would make us do are, I think back at it sometimes. I'm like, yo, this guy was crazy. This guy was crazy. But we were young and we did it because we knew that he knew what he was talking about, you know, and
Yeah.
it definitely benefited us to the point where now there's no situation that we can't go into and hear harmonies and hear all the changes, know exactly what key we're in. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
it definitely benefited us.
Would well, let me not one. Give me three of your favorite songs that you like of anyone.
Oh, man, dude, that is a hard one. That is a hard one. So for me, it's like it's so hard to pick a favorite song because there's me as a producer and as a musician, there are subtleties about so many different songs that I love and that make me feel something.
Hmm.
And sometimes you're in the mood for it's like food to me. It's like for me, I can't pick a favorite food
Hmm.
because I'm always in the mood for something different. You know what I mean? So and sometimes like if you have Asian food, there's something about those spices, the ginger and the soy and you know those red chilies that give it that flavor that you want. Something about the way they stir fry the noodles that you know gives it that thing. But if you're not in the mood for that, if you're in the mood for some comfort food, there's you know, there's something about the mac and cheese and the
Right.
collard greens that have, you know what I mean? So I can't just say, but I will I will say this, that one of my favorite artists of all time and one of my biggest influences of all time is Marvin Gaye.
Hmm.
Um, just because I think Marvin Gaye exemplified what it meant to be a truly sold out artist. Like, I mean, sold out to the art.
Yes.
You know, in a sense where it was like he didn't he he was such an enigma to even Barry Gordy because he couldn't understand he couldn't understand Marvin's music. Like I remember watching the documentary where they were talking about how when Marvin Gaye did the What's Going On album,
Mm.
and Barry Gordy was like, "This record's not done. It's not going to sell. There's no love music on this record. There's nothing for me to sell on this. Like I don't even want. He didn't even want to put it out.
I know.
You know, and it's his biggest record to this day. You know, so and then a lot of like one of my favorite art albums from him is the In Our Lifetime album, which is
Mm.
one of those albums that a lot of people don't know about. But to know the fact that that album was put out without it ever even being finished, like they took that album from him and put it out because they wanted an album to follow up, and they didn't wait for him to put his stamp on it. They just said, all right, we're going to put it out the way it is, and it's still
Mm.
as impactful as it is. Like some of the songs on there, the artist pays the price. Um, uh, Love Party, like some of the most insightful and thoughtful lyrics I've ever heard in music on what's going on and on that album. You know, especially at a time when I think, especially in R&B, people weren't doing that. Like what's going on sparked Stevie to want to do songs in the key.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think Marvin for being like such a tortured soul, like even through the drugs and his family drama and like all the stuff he was battling with the label, like he still wanted to be a pure artist. And I think it's rare that we see that. And even the way he would deliver his music on stage, like Marvin was not, to me, I know a lot of singers that can riff like crazy, and their ability to hit every note perfectly and do the craziest runs is dope. That's a great skill to have. But for me, the artist that can make you feel a song a way you never expected to feel it because their delivery on stage is
Your
something
brother's
different.
coming in.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool.
Jake,
Yo,
what's going on, brother?
what's up? I'm in my basement. I had to get away from my kids.
I'm in my basement too. Got away from my kids, so you already know. Yo, Jake, I was just explaining why Marvin Gaye is such like an amazing artist, especially the way he would deliver music live.
Oh man, don't get me started on Marvin.
Well, before you get started, introduce yourself to the room.
What's up? I'm Jake, part of Jatan, Jamie's brother, the older brother, I might add.
Yes.
But yeah. So I heard you talking about Dad. I heard you talking about our influences. But yeah, Marvin for me, I think he was one of the greatest singers, not in terms of tonality, but in terms of, I love this tone, but in terms of feeling.
Yeah.
I think he connected to the music. One of the songs that I love from him the most is Distant Lover when he performs it. Because everyone I find, of course I've never seen him do that live, but every live version of it that I've heard is always a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
And it's unique. And for me, and that dude personified like feeling. I feel like, we're believers, and I feel like he had a call in his life that he kind of his life got cut short, and it's sad, but yeah, that's definitely a guy who,
And
he might have been a prophet.
I think a lot of people don't even know how gifted he was musically. like even with production
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
write and like
Yeah.
playing piano, like the What's Going On album. I remember we were talking about this at the studio after rehearsal one night, and we were telling our guitar player about What's Going On, and I was like, dude, the way he orchestrated that for each song to it's it's almost like he crafted this thing ahead of time. Each song goes into the next song.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
first
Hmm.
6 songs of that album are all they're all it's one thread through the whole thing. And he was like, really? And then he went and listened to it and texted me like, yo, I've never listened to this whole album. This is crazy. Like it's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
It's a masterpiece of work. Like even the topics that he's talking about God on half of that album.
Mm.
Like where would you see a number one R&B record like that now?
No. And then the fact that it's concept. People don't even do that anymore.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. What's your favorite song of his to perform?
Mm,
We don't even perform any of his music.
we don't.
What? Say what?
No.
That's, we used to do when we were doing the casinos we used to do Ain't That Peculiar just for the
Yeah.
audience.
Mm.
We've done What's Going On a couple times,
Yeah.
but it's hard because with him, man, it's just, it's I always say like I don't love Marvin like where I want to sing like Marvin. I love Marvin for how he connects.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's what it's really
Exactly.
about.
And
Yeah.
I think if people watching this right now or whoever's watching this, if you go and listen to our music, you'd be like, I don't hear Marvin Gaye in none of this. It's like, that's not why we don't love him to emulate him. You know what I'm saying? We like Jake said, we love him for the way he was able to connect you to his songs. Like I've seen concerts of him doing the whole What's Going On album, just sitting at a piano and singing it in a way where every song felt crazy. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I meant to ask you this question when you brought up release earlier.
okay,
So I saw the clip of you saying that this is the song that made you want to start writing again.
yeah.
Talk to me about that again.
So we were just talking about the how we started writing through the pandemic. Remember, like
Hmm.
like I said before that, there was a long string of us just kind of like doing shows, prepping shows. You're constant. We had music that we had put out that was working. It was working on stage. People were loving it, and then we're touring with Freddie at the same time. So it's like we're prepping those shows. So we weren't in the mindset of writing. And like through the pandemic, because everything got shut down and we were kind of like, what do we do? I remember Jake was the one that kind of was like, he had this idea for what ended up becoming released. And he just kind of like showed me the beginning stages of it. And I remember us going up in the studio and we were in the room and he was like, all right, let me sing it for you. And then I started just kind of like trying to play along with it, figure out how to make this work. And I remember it was me, Jake, and Moon was in the studio, and then we had a girl that we worked with who's she plays cello on a few of our videos named Rachel. She was in the studio too, and like my back is to everybody because I'm sitting at the keyboard playing, Jake's singing, and then like I turn around and Rachel's just bawling, crying because like the, the lyrics that he was coming with over what I was playing just like connected to her in that way, and it
Mm.
was like and those words um because there's a part of the song where Jake says it reminds me of a song that I heard long ago. Maybe I always knew that you were right there, a simple melody playing over and over in my dreams, but somehow
Mm.
out of reach, eluding me until I release. And I think like that idea of like remembering a song that you heard a long time ago that connected with you in such a way that it comes back to your memory through something else and it connects you to the current. It's like
Mhm.
it reaches you back in time to then bring you forward to the current to allow you to release all of the pain, all of the things that you're dealing with now, and we've done that song on stage maybe like 2 or 3 times since then, and people are crying, people are feeling it. So it's like we knew, like, all right, we got to keep writing, we got to keep allowing this music to speak through us, because we believe our music comes from God, honestly. Like, so we know that that's our call, that's our mission, to
Yeah.
to let that music out into the world. You know what I mean? So yeah.
So, Jake, tell me about Release. Describe the song to me.
In what way?
What was your intent?
When I write music, I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know.
That's good though.
When we never go in like we're gonna write this. We feel it, and then whatever comes. Sometimes it'll be something that gets started, and then it's like, okay, I'm starting to see where this is going. You know what I'm like? I'll get a line, and I think that was the first thing I got was the first thing I got was "Come to my garden, eat from my tree," and it was like a call to, well, I come to your garden, I eat from your tree, and it was like how I come into the presence of God. You can't do that without letting go of everything. Letting go of the way you see things, the way you think about things. My thoughts are not his thoughts. My ways are not his ways. So you gotta let go of those things. And as I was thinking on that, going back to, it reminds me of a song. It reminded me of the first time that I had an encounter, I believe, with God. As a child, I was like 3 years old playing with toys. And my parents were playing music in the background. I'm playing with toys on the ground. And even I remember this, like, I remember whatever music this was, I can't remember the music, but I remember I felt myself going higher, like taking me somewhere. But I remember it took me to a plateau, right? Where like I couldn't go any higher. I don't know how to explain it, but I guess that's the best way. And then but I knew inside of myself that there has to be more. Right? So that was a journey that I think those you have, I think as kids and through your life, you have little markers that you remember that I believe God puts there to get you. I was here with you. I was here with you.
Yeah.
So I have markers like that in my life, and they take me back to those places. So the intention of it is God is always a frequency or a sound that calls you to him, and when we do music, it's a sound, it's a certain sound, it's a certain frequency, and we can hear that frequency, but we can hear it but not connect to it, right? Like people can hear our music, but yeah, they don't care, like it's nothing, but if you listen intently and you listen from your heart, you can connect to it. It's just like the Bible. Anybody can read the Bible. If your intention is to get out of what you want to get out of it, then that's what's going to happen. If you want to prove it wrong, then that's what's going to happen. But if you read it with the intent of what is being tried, what's the spirit behind it, what's the motivation behind it, what's the spirit behind it, the essence of it, you're going to actually get what it was intended to mean. And that's kind of where the song comes from. Getting to that place of true intention, because that's a place of freedom. Right.
Shout out to Gigi. Gigi in the chat say your music definitely touched me and my family, all the generations. She said my children are grown now and always ask me if I could find your CD. That's what's up. Thank you. Terry and Sherry are on. They say hi, Jake and Jamie. Sending the love and best wishes. Thank you, ladies.
Hey.
And somebody asked earlier, where can they find your older stuff?
A lot of that stuff is hard to find because we've been through like such a long journey. Like I said, 20 years, you know. Um, we've been through such a long journey. We started out with five guys in the group. Like I said, we were very R&B, harmony driven, Shy, Jodeci, 112 influence. So a lot of that music has kind of faded away, you know, into obscurity. If you hit us up though, like someone emailed me 2 days ago, well, emailed the band 2 days ago and said they're getting married and one of our songs they want to walk down the aisle to. It's one from our old Say It EP.
Mm.
So they asked if I could send them the song. So I was like, of course. You know what I mean? So I sent it to them today actually, which is funny.
Hmm.
So like if anyone has a favorite album of ours or a song that you want and you hit us up, I will gladly send it to you. But it's not up online anymore. Like a lot of that stuff was up on like CD Baby before digital DSPs and all that stuff existed. So, you know,
Yeah.
it's hard to
Some of
find
it, the reason why it's not up, some of it we don't agree with.
Mm.
Now, some of it, it's not even just like musically or sonically, it's not good.
Yeah. We don't feel it represents us in the
Yeah.
best light.
You've grown since then. You've grown.
Yeah. So certain things like, you know, when you're a kid, when we started out, of course we love music, but at the same time you're trying to play a persona that you think you're supposed to play. But as you grow, you start to see how your music is. That's what happened to us. We started to see how it was affecting people, and we saw like we're singing about sex, and you know, and we're seeing little kids like parents. We're selling it to their parents, but the kids are coming like, I like this song. I like. So that started to affect us. You know, we're like, hold up, are we really doing? Are we affecting people in the way we really want to affect people? You know, so.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Did y'all ever have a groupie phase? Did you have groupies that came after you and chased you down and
We
that?
definitely did in our early days. I would say like from probably 2003 to um, probably like 2010. Back in 2008, we were on a show on MTV, and and that's probably like the most like mass exposure we've ever gotten because we were on a show that aired for like 5 episodes. It was kind of like they were trying to model America's Best Dance Crew
Mm.
version, but for singing groups. And
Mm-hmm.
this was the first season of it they were trying to do. Um, it was like a, a co-production between BBC and MTV, and they were trying to do this like version of America's Best Dance Crew with singers called America. It was called Next. What was it called? Top Move.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Um, and we were on that show, and we were like killing it on that show. And then the show ended up losing funding and getting canceled. I think they were getting sued by Randy Jackson's company because it was like too close. Mario Lopez was the host. Even it was
Oh
like
wow, yeah.
it was like a complete like ripoff.
Yeah. So they were
Mm.
having issues, I think, internally with that, so they had to cut it short.
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah.
yeah. So
Because
Wow.
it was actually doing good ratings wise, but yeah, they had to cut it short because of the legality of it.
yeah, it had like three judges. One of them was Taboo from Black Eyed Peas, Michelle Williams from Destiny's Child, and like a famous choreographer was the third judge. I forget his name at this point. Brian Friedman. Um, but yeah, so we were on that show for a few weeks, and like I remember being on that show, and then like our MySpace skyrocketed at that point, and we're like, you know, so
MySpace.
MySpace went crazy. But so we did definitely have like, you know, the emails, the message board on our website where groupies would be like on there fighting over who was their husband, stuff like that, you know. But not all of us fed into that, you know. I would say that the three that are still in the group probably did the best at know, avoiding that drama.
So you have gone through some changes over the years. What's the formula that, best of your knowledge, is best for dealing with those type of changes in a musical group?
Just don't stop. That's like
Yeah.
that's the only thing.
You
Like,
gotta love it.
yeah,
You know, you gotta. I think you have to have. You have to get past the superficial intentions.
Mm.
You know, because like Jamie said, the three that are we're still together. We had the reason why we're still together is because it was deeper for us than the other two. In terms of what we wanted to do, the reason why we were together, the reason why we were doing music, it became more and more defined as time went on, and more
yeah.
clear.
Like Jake was saying before about like once we started realizing, okay, this art, like even going back to Marvin Gaye, like realizing that art has a purpose. Art is connected to the spirit. You know, shout out to somebody in the chat that said, you know, you got to be open to the Holy Spirit when you're so being open vessels for the Holy Spirit. Yeah, in the chat. Shout out to you. Perfect analogy. But yeah, so once we started realizing that music was spiritual, and this is something that my dad used to always tell us, but we didn't get it. And we realized that we had a responsibility there. I think the three that are still in the group are the ones that kind of were more willing to surrender to that idea and not fight against it, and not still want to do our own thing, and not still want to prove ourselves in the typical way in music. You know what I mean? So I think it was because of that, and at that point it was just like, all right, well, there's three of us now. Let's just, what are we doing? Let's figure it out. So you know, we had to change our writing style. We had to change. Like, that's when we started finding musicians. That's when I started picking up the guitar. Like, I had never played the guitar before that, and I'm like, I gotta do something, you know. So I picked up the guitar and was like, let me learn this. Let's start writing to a guitar. It changed. That's how we wrote "By the River," which ended up, you know, charting on Billboard for the first time, which was dope. But
And when we did that song, it was so different from everything else. Our manager was like, "Man, y'all need to stop. I don't know what to do with this music."
No, his exact words were, "Yo, I love this song, but y'all can't give me another song like this. I don't know what to do with it," you know. And but like I said, so that song ended up being the one that 104.5 picked up and was playing. You know, we performed it live on their station. We've been on 104.5. We performed on there like 3 or 4 times just off the strength of that record. You know, we did a whole college tour. So many things we did based off the strength of that record, just because people fell in love with the rawness and the realness of it. And that was another one where, like what Jake was saying before, like when it came to writing that song, I was playing this little riff on the guitar, and we started stomping and clapping to it like it was church. And Jake was like, "Yo, I'm just hearing something about By the River," and me and Moon both looked at him like, "What? What are you talking about? Like, By the River? Like, that's not, like, how are we gonna write a song about By the River?" And then it came, and it was like life changing.
I have a connection to that song because that's the song that I interviewed you on the first time that I interviewed you. So that was the song you were releasing then. So I have a connection to that.
Yeah. That was right in our transition. I think that was the first song that we released after the three, that we were just three.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
we still close with that song
to this day.
Yeah,
we have to. That's our last song.
And it will work every time because it's just one of those songs. It will work every time.
Yeah. Shout out to Emil Carrick said, "I love that song. One of my faves still to this day." Thank you. We appreciate that. Yeah.
So, release comes out April 7th.
Yep.
Are we doing any ceremony? What are we doing to commemorate the release? What are we doing?
So we're gonna do. I'm actually sitting in our podcast studio right now. This is our podcast studio. I'm in here right now. So we're gonna do a live stream with the whole band in here, just kind of like talking about the song, talking about our history. At 8 p.m. on April 7th, Friday night. For whoever wants to come in and just have a good time with us, we're just gonna enjoy it. We haven't put out a song, I think, in a couple of years, so we have. This is the thing. This is the start of a bunch of music that we've been writing. So we're putting this one out now, but we got a bunch following it up, and then we're gonna put out an album. So this is just the first little release into the atmosphere.
Can people see you anytime soon, anywhere soon, possibly?
So if you're in the Philly area, we're working on a couple shows at like City Winery. We're supposed to have something in Woodbury, New Jersey at their festival on June 16th. And I think we have anything else coming up soon. I mean, we're working on putting on some local shows. So
Yeah, we're also doing something kind of cool for people who have been following us for a while. It's going to be just a small, intimate show, but we're going to record it at a studio, and we're going to film it. We're going to put it up as content. So if people keep in contact, we're going to let everybody know about that.
Love that idea.
So it's going to be like a album listening party / live show where we do like a lot of our older songs that people love, but also we're going to be doing all the new music that people haven't heard yet, and also filming it and like putting it up as we release the music. We're going to release like the live videos with it as well.
Very nice.
Someone said Auburn Road, please. Yeah, we used to do Auburn Road twice a year, the winery in New Jersey. But we have, since the pandemic, like I'm telling you, we used to do Music Fest. We used to do so many different shows throughout the year. But since the pandemic, like we kind of lost contact with a lot of these places. So we're getting back on it. Though.
Yeah.
So know if you guys want to keep in touch with us, you can follow us on Instagram here or Facebook. Same thing, Jatan on Facebook. Our website is jatan.com, JUTAUN.com. You can sign up for our mailing list. You'll get info when we do shows, when the music comes out, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But the brother Evans, Jake, and Jamie, I appreciate you for your time. These are my entertainment cousins. Hey, have you guys met Faith Evans yet?
Have we met Faith?
No, we haven't met her. She has been in this. She wasn't on the show, but she was there when Freddie did a show.
Okay.
That's right. Yeah.
But no, we haven't met her. We've been in the same room with her.
So the running joke is it even goes to her too, because she's our cousin as well.
Okay.
So it still works.
Yeah.
So when you meet her, let her know.
Yeah. I'm waiting for that.
You are. Yo, you know what's funny is Chubby Checker's real name is Ernest Evans, so we used to call him Uncle Ernest.
Wow. I never knew that. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Brothers, be blessed. Tell Moon I said what's up. I send love, blessings, and I can't wait till the 7th.
Hey, thanks for having us, bro. Like, we appreciate you for always showing love to us.
Yes.
You've always been an amazing supporter, and we don't take that lightly, man. So, shout out to everybody who's been watching. We appreciate y'all. April 7th, release comes out. Please go check that out.
And I just want to say this before I leave. I always like to give people their flowers. Not only are you guys awesome artists, but you are very awesome human beings, and I appreciate you. So thank you.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate that, man.
We appreciate you having us on here, man.
Yeah.
Just acknowledging, what we're doing. It's very meaningful. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Be blessed.
Have a good one.